Hey, my name's Anthony Spencer, and I'm from Charleston, South Carolina, and I just want to share a little bit of my story about having my right knee replaced. I know that when I was contemplating having this done, it was really kind of comforting to get on YouTube and dig around and see what other people had done and their stories, and just to kind of figure it out because it is a scary thing. I mean, you're having a body part replaced, basically. If you're having your knee done, I think everybody's knee has like a story. Mine was not injured in an accident, and it wasn't injured in, a bike wreck or something like that. It was, I really think it was like when you hit that puberty stage back in, your teens. I grew 8 inches and put on 32 pounds in 10 months, all the while skateboarding just like a freak. And I mean, I loved skateboarding back in the day. But I ride goofy foot, which means you push with your left foot and your right foot's on the board. And I just really think during that growth spurt, my right knee just kind of grew all jacked up. It was the summer between high school, 12th grade, and college that it just really started locking up for no reason. And I didn't really know what was going on. So I went to a doctor in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, where I was at the time, and they did some x rays. And there were 5 pieces of bone and cartilage that had just kind of managed to chip themselves off in there that were floating around. And every now and then they would just chip, drift right into the same place. And, your knee couldn't function because there was something in there. So they went in and did, scoped it out and took everything out and cleaned up the best they could with 1987 technology. And it really, other than being on crutches for like the rest of the summer, it really seemed okay. But they told me, you're basically bone on bone now, and you will need a new knee one day. So, of course, you're like 17 years old, 18, whatever. And you're someday it's like way down the road. And so now I'm 49, and I just turned 49 in January, and over the past few years, it's just really, really, really just grinding. I mean, just been like, oh man, it just hurts. It's like 24/7 there, sleeping. And it got to the point where, nothing really over the counter medicine wise would even phase it. So 2 summers ago, I was, I really didn't exercise much. I really didn't do anything. I kiteboarded, but that's not really, I mean, I kiteboard a lot back in the day, but that was, I didn't really exercise much, and I was kind of out of shape. I'd gotten up to 205, and here in Charleston, we have this big bridge that goes over the Cooper River, the Ravenel Bridge, and it's kind of the mount in Mount Pleasant, where a little suburb I live in. And everybody goes and walks the bridge on Saturday. And I was working out in Texas and was home for the weekend and went walking on the bridge with my wife. And I was just like, man, I feel so out of shape. And I just decided that moment I was going to try to lose some weight. So I did. That summer, I just basically changed my diet a little bit and did some cardio. And right now I'm at 169. And initially dropping like 30, 35 pounds made my knee feel amazing. Um, it was night and day difference dropping. And they say for every pound you can lose, it's like taking 3 pounds off your knees because when you walk, you transfer the motion between your legs. And so I don't know how that formula works, but that's what they say. So it felt great, and that was good for about, I don't know, 5 6 months, and then it just kind of started slipping back into its old self, where it just started hurting all the time. I really decided it was kind of time to start looking into other options, and I went to one doctor here locally that a friend had recommended, and he didn't really say yay or nay. He was kind of like, well, I was 48. He's like, you're 48, you're young, you can probably deal with it for blah, 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 and a little bit longer. And I was kind of left there that day after doing the MRI and everything. And I was just kind of bummed out a little bit because it was like, man, this is really bugging me. Maybe I didn't do a good enough job of selling the doctor on how bad it actually is. And I think a lot of these doctors, they would rather you be really old, but I'm not, but I need it. And so I actually ended up going to a different doctor, Dr. Brody McCoy in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina. And he said, Anthony, there is no certain age you have to get to do this. If it's affecting your quality of life, get it done. I mean, sitting. I mean, oh my God, if I had to, simple things like getting in the back of a small car, like when you call Uber. I mean, I have to put my leg over in the other seat. But when I decided to lose all that weight, I got really into cycling, mountain biking mainly, and road biking a little bit later on. And I just kind of fell in love with it. You feel like you're 10 again when you're out on your bicycle, and it's a low impact exercise. I just don't think you can beat cycling or even an elliptical machine or something like that. But running is hard on your knees. I'm not a runner. About a year ago, I picked up a road bike, this one right here, Scott CR120, and kind of got really into that just because where I live, there's not a lot of trails. I mean, mountain biking is kind of my favorite thing, but the road bike fills in the gaps when I don't feel like driving to a trail. So back in October, I had this bike wreck, and I hit a small little tree, which flipped my handlebars and then threw me into a big oak tree and split my helmet, a little bit of a concussion, had some bruising on my hand, but wasn't really sure what was going on there. And 2 weeks later, I figured out my fifth metacarpal was broken. And the reason I'm telling you this is because I know this is a video about my knee, but this is what kind of sent me over the edge. If you ever break your metacarpal right here, they put this cast on you that starts here and goes all the way up to here because your hand has to be in a certain position. And I ended up having to wear this thing for there was 2 weeks I didn't know it was broken. And then I had the cast for 4 weeks. And then I had a splint for 2 weeks. And then everything started to heal. And so October, I got this thing off for about 2 months. I couldn't ride my bikes. And when I finally got the cast off, I couldn't ride my bike. During those 2 months, the flexibility in my right knee had decreased from, before it was about 90 degrees, it was about as far as I could bend it. And it had gone down to maybe 78, 80, somewhere in there. And I could not get my right foot over the top of the pedal stroke. And so that really sucked. That was just like, oh, this isn't happening. I'm not stopping riding my bicycle. I could clipped in with your pedals clipped in with your shoes. No way. If I took my right foot out and put the very edge of my right heel on the pedal, I could get it around a little bit, but it was horrible. So that's when I kind of decided, all right, I got to do this. I've got to do this surgery. Let's do this. It's my off season for my business. I basically have a job where I'm kind of 6 months on and 6 months off. So I need to get this done before springtime when my work gets rolling again. So I made an appointment with Dr. McCoy and went in on January 23rd, and we knocked it out. About 2 weeks out now from surgery, and the actual pain in my leg, I don't even know how to describe it. The actual knee doesn't really hurt at all. There is, if you drew a smile under your kneecap, I do have some tenderness there, and it's just because it's still a little bit of swelling, and that's going to take some time to go down. The left side of my right calf has it's almost like a weird sensation because they do have to cut some nerves to get in there, obviously, and everything's kind of coming back online and regrowing, so it kind of makes it. I was telling my wife, it's like that I can't stand for like the bed sheet to touch it, or even like put a pair of jeans on. Just the way it rubs up against your leg is like really annoying. It's kind of it's a funky sensation. I don't know. So I just basically what I did was I went to Dick's Sporting Goods and got some men's compression pants and I put those on underneath my jeans. It's like if something's up tight against it, it feels fine, but the brushing up against it is it's just a creepy, weird feeling. But that gets a little better every day. I've had in-home therapy for the past 2 weeks every day for about an hour, and they come and I had some really bad swelling in my right calf, and they like a couple days of just doing some massage on work on that helped that out tremendously. But we do, they give you some basic exercises, like laying on a couch and bending your knee up and then pushing it down. Bend your knee up, push it down. Um, Standing on your walker. You will have a walker, look like an old person, and you'll have a walker, and you'll just stand there and bend your knee up. Bend your knee up like that. It's harder than you think. Simple things like extensions. Put a pillow under your knee and just extend your knee out. You'll be doing that, and you'll be doing. We were using the steps. You put your foot up on like the first or second step and just kind of lean into it and just kind of try to push get the knee to bend forward more. But you got to do these. Getting your knee straight, perfectly straight. Some people come out of surgery and their knee doesn't want to go past that. You've got to get it straight, or you will be walking all jacked up, which eventually will mess your hips up. The knees are kind of the foundation for the rest of your body to keep everything in alignment. Thing I suggest getting is a ice machine. Looks like a little cooler, and you put about this much water in there and a bunch of ice. Or what I do is I take a couple water bottles and just freeze them, and then that way, because they're easy to switch out, get 4 of them, put 2 in the freezer, 2 in the ice machine, switch them out, every now and then. But it lasts for a pretty long time in there, and sometimes I'll just dump a big thing of ice in there on top of the water bottles that last pretty much all day. They give you these packs when you come home from the hospital. It's like an ice pack. It's a ice pack, but they honestly they feel good, but they only stay cold for like about 30 minutes, and then they actually get hot because they're like, just thing wrapped around your leg, and it's a lot of running around trying to switch them out. And if you want to make it easy as possible. The ice machine I got, I'll put a link to it down below, but it's about $150. There's probably some cheaper ones, maybe some more expensive ones, but it has been totally worth it. That thing it's got variable speed on it, and it will basically freeze you out. If you turn it up too fast, the higher you turn it, the faster the pump runs, which means there's more ice water circulating through the pad that's on your knee, and it gets cold. They say you only want to do it about 20 minutes at a time. I mean, the PT people will. I fell asleep with it on one day, and I mean, it's not going to hurt you, but everything that's going to happen as far as the swelling going down is probably only going to happen within the first 20, 30 minutes. I have a 4-year-old daughter, a 7-year-old son, and a wonderful wife, and without them, I couldn't do this. I can't imagine doing this by yourself. Because you are just not going to be able to move around that much. You're going to be on the couch a lot or somewhere. I mean, I'm not somebody that likes to sit around. I don't even really like to watch TV. I'd rather be doing something with my hands or making something, or I'm just not somebody that sits around, and the first 2 weeks, you're going to do a lot of sitting, a lot. It's going to be, you can't sit there too long though. You need to get up about once an hour and move around, get your bearings, get your leg working out. You got to keep it moving, but not too much in the beginning. And then after about week 2, you really start to get a little bit stir crazy. I finally sent my wife Monday and my son. I sent them to the pharmacy to get me a cane, because the walker is great, and you definitely need the walker in the beginning, but I don't know. There's just something about it. After a while, you feel like it's actually causing you to walk kind of scrunched over to the front a little bit. And you'll know when it's time to graduate from the walker to a cane. So I sent them to the pharmacy to get me a cane, and it was kind of funny. They're FaceTiming me from the pharmacy. Do you like the blue one or the black one? And I don't know. I just thought that was pretty funny. I got a cane on Monday, and today's Friday, and it's really kind kind of like opened up more possibilities. It's easier to get in the car and go places with the cane, obviously, than this giant walker. You'll get to the point after about 2 weeks that you just are going stir crazy, and it's time to like do something. You can't just sit on the couch all day every day and, do your exercises and whatever. You just got to get out of the house a little bit. And it's January here, so it's kind of chilly, but we don't get too cold here, but cold enough. But I'm like, man, I'm going to go out for a walk. And so the first day I just went out, and I think was it Tuesday? I went out and walked like literally to the end of the street, which is like, I don't know, 1,000 feet. And I came back, and it's like, wow, that's kind of cool, And then the next day I walked to the end of the street and back, and then went the other way and walked all the way down to the corner and back. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. So I've been trying to get out and do some exercise, and just one day I went on 2 walks. But yesterday I pushed it. I did 1.25 miles. I tracked it on my Map My Ride Under Armour app. And it was, I was tired at the end. I mean, you get so tired, but you just don't realize what's going on. And the one thing I'll say is your quad muscles in your leg are just, it's almost like they're relearning everything. And you'd be like walking along, and like every 25, 30 steps, you'll have this one step where it's just kind of like, oh, it's like they're all 4 not firing like they used to. It's like one of them's like freaking out a little bit. So I don't know, but you'll have that, and it just, everything just has to relearn where it was before. Your IT band, which runs up the right side of your leg, and my quad muscles really got stretched out from the surgery. And I think that was because I was literally bone on bone for 30 years. And now we're going to replace this part, and now we're going to jam a piece of plastic between there. That's the the polypropylene cartilage part of the artificial knee. So it kind of like stretched my whole leg out a little bit. So I think that's why my calves are probably pretty sore, and my quads really feel like they just need stretched. Let's talk about stairs for a second. You'll want to have your therapist go over with you how to go up and down stairs properly. And it's going to be one leg at a time. You're not really going to be using the surgery leg at all, just other than just keeping it straight. What you want to do is you want to hold on to the railing with, like in my case, my right knee. So I want to hold on to the railing with my left hand, or your left cane or whatever. But you'll step up with the good foot, and then bring the surgery leg up. Step up with the good, bring the surgery up. Step up with the good, bring the surgery up. And then going down, it's kind of the opposite. You want to step down with the surgery leg first, and then you want to bring your good foot down. Step down with your surgery foot first, and then bring the good foot down. My therapist said, if you do it wrong, you'll only do it wrong once, because the pain is nuts. You just don't realize how those muscles are gone in your knee at the moment. I just started Thursday morning to outpatient physical therapy, and that's going to be about 3 days a week. Luckily, it's right here in my neighborhood, so I don't have to go far to that. And eventually, I'd just like to get it to where I could just walk there. That way my knee is nice and warmed up. Something I figured out is my knee in the morning is absolutely stiff as can be. It's not a morning knee, and that's funny because I'm not a morning person, but in the morning when I get out of bed, it's like, oh man, it's like starting all over again. And then usually by, get up, get some food, walk around a little bit on it, get the, everything kind of warmed up. By about 10:30, it's feeling pretty good. So what I've been doing is doing my exercises around 10:30. Not even really trying to push it too hard before then, because it's incredibly cold and tight and not a good thing. Let's talk a little bit about medication. When I came out of surgery, they put me on oxycodone. It was a 5 milligram tablet, and I took 2 of those every 4 to 6 hours as needed. I just took them like I just did the regimen. They give you this little bottle, and it had like 85 of them in there, and you're like, wow, this will last forever. And Friday afternoon of last week, a week ago today, that morning, I'm like, oh my gosh, I only have enough to get me through lunchtime. And so I was kind of freaked out. I called the doctor and they were like, he's not in today and he has to write the prescription and he won't be back till Monday. So I was like, oh my goodness. So this weekend, I'm not going to have any medication. I wonder what that's going to feel like. And come to find out, I ran out at noon and I didn't take any more and I didn't have any more pain. Everything just stayed the same. I had been taking Tylenol too to kind of knock down the swelling. But, so I guess I really didn't, I was just taking pills for no reason really there towards the end. But you will need them in the beginning though. But you will want to get your prescription refilled if you run out. And here's why. Because when you do get to the point where you are going to outpatient physical therapy, you will need these pills to calm your knee down to be able to push harder. It's going to hurt, but the pills will kind of just knock the edge out of it. So I did send my wife to the pharmacy to get them refilled. Just pop a couple pills before you go to PT. And, they say I'm on now is hydrocodone, and it says it takes like 20 minutes to kick in. So I'll take 2 before I go to, about 30 minutes before I go to a class, just because you really do want to get all you can get out of these PT classes. My goal out of all of this is to basically regain flexibility in my knee. For years, it's been down to about 90 degrees, and which isn't bad, but like basic exercise, like trying to do squats or you really need at least 110. And that's kind of every doctor's goal I've heard is to get your knee to go to 110 degrees. A fully healthy human's knee will bend about 150 degrees. And at my first post-op appointment, the doctor said, oh, your knee will go to 150 because we did it on the operating table. And my knee hasn't gone to 150. My knee hasn't gone past like 110 since 7th grade. Like kids would sit on their knees. I could never do that. With my physical therapist that was coming to the house, we were able to get it to 98 one day. Basically, I was laying on the couch and he would bend my knee up and then put it down and then bend my knee up and put it down. And then after like an hour of that, I was able to, on my own, just pull it back and we got to 98. But it's hard. I mean, it hurts a little bit and it's hard. And my goal for this would be, I would be stoked if I could get to 120 degrees. I think that for me would just be, it's never going to go to 150. I know that, but I think 120 degrees for me would be amazing. I mean, if it's 110 is the best we can get, that's going to be the best we can get. But I mean, it already feels better than it did before. So I'm already getting more range than before. I mean, I got to 98 the other day and I was at 80, around 80 before my surgery. I am taking a lot of vitamins. I'm taking, my wife's a rep for a company called Forever, and they have a lot of aloe-based products. I do drink basically a shot glass of aloe every morning. Aloe helps the body fight inflammation, and I've got quite a regimen of vitamins from them that I am taking. Taking a product called Forever Move. I'm taking some of their calcium pills, and you got to be careful with some of the stuff you buy at the, like just Walmart, Target, or whatever. You got to be careful when you're taking some of these pills because some of them, it's calcium, but it's not like calcium from a natural source. So you got to really just do your research a little bit on what supplements you're taking, because after surgery, you don't really want to be putting anything in your body that's not real. I hope this video has helped you out a little bit, and if you had any questions you want to put down below, I'll try to answer them for you. I'm sure I've left a million things out, and then I didn't plan on the video being this long, but it's just kind of thought it was important to tell my story. Everybody's got their own story when it comes to knees, but go for it. I mean, if it's affecting your quality of life, go for it. I mean, you don't have to be a certain age. And the other thing too is they're getting 15 years out of these knees, sometimes 20 if you're not a super active person. But like my doctor told me, he's like, one, there's no guarantee you're going to live till you're 70. Why wait till you're 70 to do this? And two, the other issue is you're going to heal so much better at a younger age than you will at an older age. It's going to be a lot easier for you to recover. Three, get yourself in shape before you go for the surgery. And I'm not talking you have to be a triathlete, but get your, try to help. Everything you can do to help yourself will help your knee. I mean, lose some weight if you need to. Just simple things like that make all the difference in the world in the recovery time, I think. Cheers, and we'll catch you later.